Mark, thank you so much for coming to the Patryk Real Estate Show. I'm excited to actually welcome you because you have a topic that, unlike any other person in this industry, is focusing on, which is direct bookings. It's a huge trend, direct bookings. If you haven't heard of this trend, you should hop on it. And we're going to be talking about it today because it's ever more important the more that platforms are dictating how we live our lives and actually make money.
Thank you very much for having me. Good to be here. Glad to be speaking to you via Zoom.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And Mark, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started and then maybe a little bit about Boostly, what you're doing right now?
Yeah, no problem. So I've been involved in hospitality pretty much since birth. I was born into a 200-acre farm stay, bed and breakfast and short rental accommodation business in the UK. We were based in the middle of nowhere. The nearest sort of tourist locations to us was about 15, 20 miles away, but it was super popular. Pretty much the moment my parents opened the doors, they had people coming in. And back in the 90s, it was very much just word of mouth, newspaper and magazine ads. That was literally it. But it worked because the farm was set in a beautiful valley and the views were amazing. People would escape the city to come and stay with us. And I grew up with just strangers being in my house every single day. So that was just the norm to me. In fact, the first time I went to go and stay at a friend's house that wasn't involved in hospitality, because a few of my friends growing up all had like B&Bs and whatnot, but when I went to go visit a friend's house who didn't have a bed and breakfast, it was bizarre to me that they were so quiet. But I grew up in hospitality, changed bedrooms, did breakfast before going to school, doing all that jazz, and grew up wanting to do one thing and one thing only, and that was escape. I was in a tiny little village I wanted to escape, and my escapism was soccer. I really wanted to be a soccer player more than anything, but there's just one problem. I'm crap at playing football, crap at playing soccer. So I started coaching. I got a coaching qualifications. I got my UEFA B, and then I had an amazing opportunity to come over to America. So from 2002 to 2009, I would go over to America, get my H1 visa, come over for 5-6 months, travel all around the States, coaching soccer, youth development, traveling to pretty much every state. And then for 7 months, coming back to the UK. And then just doing that pretty much consistently. And then in 2009, realized that as far as a career was going, I was never going to get a full-time job, was never going to get my green card. And so came back to the UK, moved down to London, trying to find a job or just some sort of like guidance, and fell into marketing, sales and marketing for Yelp. It was Quip back then, but then they bought out by Yelp. And it was at that role that I learned all about social media, like Facebook. It was starting to become really popular in Europe. Twitter was getting phenomenally popular. This is before the likes of Instagram really, and LinkedIn was about, but it wasn't really what it is now. And I just learned the patterns, learned what people were doing. With sales, I learned all about reviews and social media and all that jazz. And then in 2011, 2012, I moved back to the family business. So by this point, my parents have had the business for about 25 years at this point. So they had 25 years of all offline advertising. They didn't have a website. They didn't have any social media. My parents were out of date with technology. My mum's the type of person to send an email and look where to stick the stamp. So it was very much an eye-opening experience coming back into the business. But my role was to help them get online, get a website, get a PMS, because everything was done on pen and paper. Like I tell this story and people look at me with shock, but they had 12 bedrooms, 3 holiday cottages, and they were doing everything on pen and paper and Tipex. So it was a lot of scribbling out. And so fast forward to 2014, 2 years in, we took all of our offline word of mouth, put it online, and we'd grown to be the top ranked business on TripAdvisor, which was fantastic. This is when TripAdvisor was a thing. Social media wise, our Facebook page was the most followed local independent business, which was great for driving direct bookings. And talking about direct bookings, we were on about 80% average year in, year out direct. And then 20% we used to fill it up with short-term rental, OTAs, sorry. So those OTAs were Booking.com. Those OTAs were the Expedia group. And then slowly but surely Airbnb caught up. Fast forward 2 more years, 2016, I read a book called 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing everything in the business. I'm not working on the business. So I learned about outsourcing, and I was pretty much able to hire my way out of my role. And when I did that, I freed up more time to go to networking events, hospitality meeting events. And at those hospitality meeting events, I got to meet other hosts and just general chit chat, really, just chatting. How's the business going? And up until that point, I've just been in my own little bubble. There wasn't Facebook groups, there wasn't Slack groups, anything like that. It was literally, you're just doing everything in your own business by yourself. And there wasn't really anybody sharing. There's no sharing economy like there was now. And so at these meetings, I just figured that a lot of people were not 80% direct. They were more like 40% direct and 60% coming from the OTAs. And a lot of people were starting to bemoan the fact that they were having to spend more commission costs. They were complaining about booking.com, X, Y, and Z. And so I just asked a simple question: how are you doing your marketing? And they just looked at me with a blank expression. And I said, I just listed them off. Well, what are you doing to build an email list? What are you doing for social media? What about your SEO? That blank expression. So I said, well, who's providing help on this? Blank expression. and I went away and did a bit of research. There was no help from the local tourism. There was no help from the local bureau. There was one or two people online, but they were very outdated, or the tactics that they were talking about relied on hosts spending thousands in dollars on Facebook ad spend or Google ad spend. And I was like, this is crap. So I created a Facebook group called the Hospitality Community. That group's still around today. It's one of the most engaged Facebook groups in the whole of Facebook, with about 92% engagement. And every single day I just showed up and posted up a couple of helps and tips. And at the same time, it was just for Scarborough and Whitby, which is where I'm born. And I said to these hosts, I said, listen, who would like me to put on a little workshop, 5 people max, totally free. And I'll just walk you through 5 things that I'm doing to generate direct bookings. And those 5 things I recorded, and they're now on the part of the Boostly Academy. Fast forward about 2 years, me and my wife were traveling around the world. Me and my boys, we sold everything up in the UK. The family business was running like clockwork without me. And it was during that time, I had a couple of people reach out to me asking help and advice, because the Facebook group had grown and all that jazz. And my wife was like, you're answering these emails every day. Why don't you just create a course? I was like, okay, what should I call it? And she said, Boostly. I Boost Hospitality, Boostly. We're messing around with ideas forever. So she gave me the idea for the name, and then just went from there. We've grown over the last 3 years. Now it's 2022. We had a go-to experts in direct bookings. We've got a website design agency as part of Boostly that's got 2,400 clients. We've got Boostly Content Creator, which helps create social media content and email content, and AI-driven listing support on the words to put down on your site. And the academy itself is one of the only accredited training academies that's out there in the whole industry, that just shows people what to do. And we've got a real cool community behind it with 10,000 years worth of experience. So it's been a journey. My goal is to help 1 million hosts cut down on that over-reliance on Airbnb, booking.com, Verbo, and I've written a couple of books, about another book coming out. The podcast goes out 3 times a week, YouTube channel. So yeah, just been chipping away. Now we've got 40 members of staff at Boostly, which is fantastic. Support, marketing, sales, the whole shebang. And yeah, it's growing on a daily basis. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Wow. Yeah, that's a huge story. I will go back to playing football and around the world. I actually grew up playing football. So that was not American football, but soccer. And it was an amazing experience. But I also wanted to be a soccer player when I grew up. So I totally relate to you on that. Look at us now. This is where all the people that don't make it to the professional league, we just end up in real estate.
Yes.
But it's great. So awesome story. You are the go-to product when it comes to direct bookings. How did you guys formulate a product that was the go-to versus everybody else in your competition? And you guys are willing to are able to charge a premium, because it's not cheap to go with you guys, but you guys can charge a premium because it is such a high quality website and you have so many things going for that.
No, so I think the reason why we became the go-to, and I literally outlined in the Book Direct Playbook exactly what we did, exactly what I did, because it's the exact same thing that I did at our family business. And it's the exact same thing that I talk about in the book. I lay it all out in a chapter, and I encourage every host to become this. Even if like you're watching this and your prime investment strategy isn't short-term rentals, if it's long-term rentals, whatever like your sort of investment sort of strategy is, becoming the go-to is vital in any business. And what I simply did was I just showed up every single day, and I didn't sell. I just provided support, guidance, hints, and tips every single day in my Facebook group. And I provided 3 to 5 other Facebook groups that were high in numbers or just high in the host that I would want to help the most. And at the same time, I turned every single Boostly customer, Boostly client, Boostly member into an affiliate. And I was very quickly aware that spending and wasting money on Facebook ads was going to be a no. I tested it a few times. I used a few things that I knew that would work, but then very quickly, I like to experiment. So I experimented on a few things and got kicked off Facebook ads platform. That's the story for another day. But then I had to literally reassess how I was going to bring in new members, how I was going to like spread the awareness, and a number of things. Number one, show up every single day. 99% of what I do, I give away for free. 1% is a charge, but that 1% is the best of the best. Number two, the product is fantastic. And I know that people want to talk about it, rave about it. And there's certain little things that we do to make sure that people are aware and they know how to talk about and spread the word. And then number three is just always making sure that the product is improving. Like the money that has come in for Boostly that we've generated over the last 5-6 years, the money all goes back into the product. Like we're still improving it now. So for example, the technology and the things that we've created, we're able to track every single booking that comes in from our site. There's only other providers out there in the industry that can do this. And people may think we charge a premium, but in comparison to the other two companies that are out there, we charge a third of what they charge. And we do so because we know the price is right. We know it's perfect for hosts, doesn't matter what level they're at. So for example, 1 to 6 properties, we've got a Boostly Lite product, which is less than $1,000, about $1,200. And it covers your marketing, it covers your training, and it covers a website, it covers your content. And then if you've got 7+ properties, we know that you're in the growth stage. If you've got 7+ properties, you're going to be doing the management model, or you've got heavy investors behind you. So you've got more money to put into marketing. So that's a $4,000 product, but it comes with all the bells, all the whistles. And we like to grow with you as you grow your business. Boostly has started from helping hosts with 1 property. Now we've got clients with 50 or 100+ properties. So yeah, we've just grown and make sure we've always improved, always evolving. And that's why now we can safely say that we are the go-to.
That's awesome. And I will say that you are everywhere. And it's crazy. Like you start going into my group and you're just posting. I'm like, wow. I just keep seeing you every day. And it's just, I'm always in a weird way thinking about you, but that's a good thing. Hopefully not late at night, of course, but
that's done on purpose, because that's why we hire 40 members of staff, because there's a couple of books that really influenced me along this journey. And it's the 2 books that I've only read and implemented in the last, say, 12 to 14 months. The number 1 book was Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. And then number 2 was The Clockwork. So Who Not How really broke down, as much as the 4-hour work week was fantastic for me, that popped the Pringles tub, as I like to say. But then with Who Not How, it really gave you the strategic play and the thinking behind it and like the why you do it. And now that Who Not How always sticks with me. And then Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, who is going to be one of the speakers at the SDR Wealth event next year, he really laid out the playbook for me on how to do it with the tools, the templates, and the additional training behind it. And then what I realized, the main bottleneck in our business at Boostly at the time, and I'd say we're probably about 20 members of staff at this point, is that I was hiring like some really cool people, really talented people, but I was trying to get them to be a Swiss Army knife. I was trying to get them to be many things at once. And what we really did is we focused on making sure that they focus on their center of excellence. Like, what are they the best at? So we did that. We built up a sort of a hiring structure. We built up a playbook for our own business. And then I read the book Who. And what the Who book does, it's by a guy called Jeff Smart, I believe. There's a really good YouTube videos to watch. Just type in Jeff Smart, Who. There's basically a 1-hour masterclass that he did for Google HQ. It's fantastic. He laid out the hiring structure to make sure that we get A players every single time. And what I was able to do is now we've got a full team in finance. We've got a full team in marketing. We've got a full team in sales. We've got a full team in support. We've got a full team in development. We've got a full team in API. So that means for me, what I can focus on is the posting, the social media awareness, making sure that I can be everywhere, doing podcasts, doing talks, webinars, etc. So I can just focus solely on that. So that means that I can be everywhere. And that being everywhere tactic is 100% on purpose. I make sure that Boostly has got a binge bank. What do I mean by that is if you were to stumble across a YouTube video or an Instagram video or a TikTok video or wherever, and as soon as I show up on your feed and you pay attention for more 3 to 4 to 5 seconds, the algorithms show you more and more. And then there's an absolute binge bank that you can go down. And I'm not just relying on the binge bank. There's stuff being added to it every single day. So whether you're in Facebook or Slack or Twitter or LinkedIn or podcasts or Spotify, you'll always see the Boostly brand every single way. And if you don't see it from me, you'll see it from a member of our communities who's sharing, spreading the word. So you can't get away from us. And the reason why we do it is called the billboard effect. It's why Kellogg's spend millions every single year making sure that their Kellogg's brand is everywhere on billboards, magazine, TV, radio. So when you walk into Walmart, or when you walk into insert name of supermarket and you're at the cereal, and we all know in America, they love choice. You've got all the choice in the world. They see and recognize the brand, and it's their brand that you go for. And it's just the same principles apply, but in terms of short-term rental and any advice that we can help.
Yeah. And personally, for me, if I'm ever thinking, what is the go-to direct booking site? It's Mark. Talk to Mark from Boostly. It's simple as
Thank
that. And honestly, what you're doing right now with being on this podcast is a great way to cross-reference audiences. Not to say that you're doing it just for that. You're honestly genuine in your approach, but it does help. And a lot of people might be listening to this and saying, this is not short-term rental advice. What's going on? But short-term rental is a business. So this advice is 100% applicable to short-term rentals.
Yeah. No, 100%. I can lay it out in the book. I like to be as transparent as possible because I believe that being transparent, it will help in not just in the short term, but the medium and long term. And I laid out exactly what I did at Boostly, how I grew Boostly, because I'd done it for the short-term rental business. And I feel like one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I first got going is that I thought, well, I can't do X because the people who tune in for Boostly won't want to know that, or they won't be able to apply to them. But what I've realized is that the skills and the approach that you learn in one industry, you can cherry pick some of the best things and put it into any industry. And the thing about becoming the go-to, it works in any business, in any industry. Because I've tried and tested it. I've tried and tested it for PTs. I've tried and tested it for somebody who does hair, online, offline, short-term rentals, hospitality, whatever you name it, it works. And the main thing is, the most important thing that so many people in short-term rentals, they don't do. Everybody in short-term rentals falls into the reactive marketing. And reactive marketing is that they just wait for their app or their email to ping from a booking from Airbnb saying, hey, you've got a reservation. That is reactive marketing. Now, it's all well and good because as I've stated many times, we're in an industry that is so in demand. There are dates in your calendar, depends on where your property is, depends on what your market is. There's dates in your calendars that you can sell out 5 or 6 times over. And with that all being said, you can just literally list on one platform and wait for bookings to come in. But there's a problem when you become reactive is because you then become over-reliant and you become lazy. So you're not marketing your property. And then for whatever reason, there could be a dry patch. Your OTA of choice could completely change the categories and change the layout. That means that your property becomes less visible. Or it just means that you could get a couple of crappy reviews or your listing could get shut down, suspended, and then all of a sudden that revenue stream is gone. So the trick is to always be proactive, always be proactively marketing your business. And that doesn't mean that you need to sit and spend 24 hours a day on social media. It doesn't mean you need to be on your phone all the time. It just means there's certain little things that you can be doing to always be promoting your business. And some things can be set and forget. Some things need a little bit of care and attention. It's just growing a garden, growing your lawn that you have out back. Some things you can set and forget. Some things you need to give a little bit of love and care to if it's going to sprout to fruition.
Yeah, I agree. And let's go into the direct bookings. Let's talk about how people can actually generate direct bookings, right? So you build the website, but the traffic doesn't just come. So what do you tell people to really help them with growing that traffic to actually get them to the website so they can actually make bookings and money from that?
Yeah, this is probably one of the most common questions that I have had in over 111 podcast interviews is about getting traffic to a website or just driving bookings. So that is why I brought this out this year called the Book Direct Playbook. Released February 2022. I'm very grateful it's sold nearly 10,000 copies. It's on Audible, on all the places. And in there, it's got over 100 tips, 101 tips to be exact, on how to generate direct bookings. Now, the cool thing is that you can generate direct bookings without a website. There's so many things that you can do without even having a direct booking website. And one thing that I'm loving at the moment and the thing that I'm seeing that works the best, and it all boils back to when I first got into hospitality and how my parents were marketing their business, is the old school is the new school. So things like referral networks, things like billboard advertising, things like printing off flyers and just literally door-to-door knocking, things like picking up the phone and calling your local businesses, calling local companies that may bring in contractors from out of town into the area. That's old school. That's picking up the phone. Things like sending lumpy mail, things in the post. All these tactics are working phenomenally well. One of the best things that I've seen recently is you've got roadside marketing. So signs, you could have those sandwich boards, people flying around. Those things are just working really cool because it's different. When everybody's digging Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever, people are zagging. And those that zag are the ones that get attention. It's called about being different. And there's a really good book. If you want to go down this route of different marketing, it's called Get Different, another book by Mike Michalowicz. It shares so many outstanding and very creative ideas on how you can market your business differently. The best, simplest way, because I want to give everybody listening, tuning in, an actionable tactic that they can do is pick up your phone. Pick up your phone right now, go into your contacts. I guarantee 70% of people in the contacts of your phone don't know what you do. So these people in your phone, they're friends, they're family members, they're ex-co-workers. It could be somebody you met at a networking event. It could be X, Y, or Z. Just pick up your phone, send them a message, give them a call, send them a voice note, and just say, hey, do you know anyone? That's it. Do you know anyone? These 4 little words are going to transform your business. If you can make a list of 100 people, create a Google sheet, put those 100 names in column A. In column B, C, D, you're going to write try 1, attempt 2, attempt 3, and then the next one could be notes. So what you're going to do is you're going to send a message to 10 out of the 100 people, let's just say. Do it on day 1. Hey, hope you're doing well. Insert a little bit of a personal sort of message to them. Hope Timmy's doing all right at the soccer, or did you get a chance to book your holiday? And then, do you know, by chance, do you know anyone who needs accommodation in Joshua Tree? Do you know anyone who's coming to the area? Do you know anyone X, Y, Z? Do you know anyone who's coming for work? Do you know anyone who's coming for an event? Do you know anyone who needs a place to stay for Christmas? Now, the reason why you're doing this is you're not asking them directly to buy from you. You're asking them simply, do you know anyone? Now, these people in your phone book, they know, like, love, and trust you, and they want you to succeed. They simply just don't know what you do because you're too shy to tell them. You just need to remind them. So just pop a little message in and update your Google Sheet. Do 10. Right? And then the next day, you're going to do another 10. And then after 10 days, you'll have done 100. And after 100 people, I guarantee you one person will have replied back saying, yes, I do. Next step, super simple. You just message them back saying, great. Hey, do you mind setting up an email recommendation, email group thread, WhatsApp recommendation, Facebook group chat, whatever. If they book and it comes from you, I'll give you whatever. Could be 100 quid, $100, $50. If you know them personally and you know their likes, it could be a soccer jersey, soccer tickets, movie tickets. If you know they like whiskey, so I'll get you a bottle of whiskey. Whatever it could be, to just give them a little incentive. Because when people are given an incentive, they're more likely to ask, more likely to act, sorry. And so say, for example, they recommend somebody, that person books with you, you give £50, $50 voucher, fantastic. You've instantly saved money on commission. It's a direct booking. And all you got to do then, when that person books, you send them a message. Hey, we loved you. You're a great guest. By the way, do you know anyone who's coming to Joshua Tree? Do you know anyone who needs a place to stay? And you just rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And then slowly but surely, you'll build out a referral network. Now, the reason why this works is it's social proof. If I was to message your friend and go to, say, Josh, and say, Josh directly, hey, Josh, do you want to come and stay at my place? You'd be like, well, who are you messaging me for? But if Patryk sets up a group chat with me and Josh, and Patryk's, hey, you're coming to Joshua Tree, you need a place to stay. Check out Mark. He's got some amazing places, amazing apartments, amazing little tiny houses in Joshua Tree. Check him out. Then that social proof is much more likely to work than a Facebook ad, Google ad, random Facebook post, X, Y, and Z. So if you can build this over time, you do 100, then you go 200. By the time you got to 1,000, you've done more marketing than 95%, proactive marketing than 95% of your other competition in your area. You rinse, repeat it. Fantastic. Doesn't cost any money. Just takes your time.
So let's talk about the time that it takes to actually pursue a campaign like that and the return. Is it really worth it to do all that time to really text everybody individually and spend all that time, maybe, I don't know, a day of work to get one booking? What do you say to that?
This is the beauty of it, is that it doesn't really take a lot of time. 10 messages, if you do it and you've got the little template, could take a minute, could take 2 minutes. Just 2 to 5 minutes every day. All I ask for everybody in terms of marketing and proactive marketing, you should be doing 30 minutes of new business every single day for your business. And it should be the first thing that you do. And if you're not doing 30 minutes of new business every single day for your business, then you're going standstill. Now, look, I get it. There's times in your calendar where you're flat out busy. and you are going to be so busy. Guess what? Congratulations. You're ready to who, not how it. You're ready to hire somebody to send these messages for you. The problem is that we like to wear a busy badge on our top. We like to say that we're super busy. When you meet with a friend, you're having a drink. How are you? Oh, super busy. Because you feel like you need to say I'm super busy. You know what I mean? But really, what you're doing by wearing that busy badge, you are harming your business in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not in the short term, but in the medium and the long term. I wore that busy badge for years, proudly put it on because I thought that's what you had to do. But then by getting yourself educated, who, not how, clockwork, 4-hour work week, you understand that these little things that you're doing every single day, this new business of 30 minutes, you then document what you're doing, you create SOPs, IPOs, and you show other people how to do it for you. Yeah, you may feel like, oh, I've got to send this text message. But at the end of the day, that's just sucking it up and being a business owner. That's just cracking on and doing what everybody else has to do. Like I said at the very start, we're very lucky in this industry, but it's very in demand. A lot of people in 2018, 2019 could just throw a couple of pictures up from your phone onto a listing site like Airbnb and you can be guaranteed bookings. This ain't 2019 anymore. But the market is so saturated because so many people are seeing the benefits of short-term rentals. So you're going to have to suck it up and be a proper business owner and do a little bit of proactive marketing. And if that means doing 30 minutes of messages or 30 minutes of new business every single day, do it because the medium and the long-term ramifications are going to be huge. Nobody's in this for a quick buck. Nobody's in this for passive income. Short-term rentals isn't passive, I'm afraid to say. So if you're getting into this game wanting a passive income, go put it in stocks and bonds. Don't do short-term rentals because this hospitality game is anything but passive. But the benefits for a medium to long-term business, one that you can grow, scale, and probably sell at a future date is going to be worth it for you and your business and your family.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. And another thing is also when you're reaching out to people that you haven't talked to in a while, you might have other businesses like co-hosting, for example, and they might know somebody that, needs a place to be managed. And there you go. Now you have 20% of their gross revenue for a whole year. And that's even better. So there's so many different things you can market for. You just got to keep telling people what you do is the point that you're making right now, which is really smart. And social media obviously is another way that you could do that at scale. If you have 300 people following you and these 200 people see your story every day, that's free marketing as well.
Exactly. That do you know anyone? You're right. It works in so many variables. When Clubhouse was really popular, we did free 24-hour Clubhouse rooms. It's how I got to meet a lot of the people now that I call friends. And on that call, there was a chap who came on and we did a live, because it was 24 hours, we needed a lot of like filler hours. And one of the hours we did was 24-hour Q&A. And on that, I will never forget this. There was a chap who was in the UK. His properties were in Bulgaria. His properties were in Sofia, which was one of the capitals of Bulgaria. And he said that he was struggling to get more co-hosting contracts. And so what we had him do at the start of the hour was to open up his phone and message every single one of his current co-hosting contracts. And I think he had a handful, right? And we said, send this verbatim. Hey, insert name. I'm looking to take on more clients, rockstar clients like you. Is there anyone that you could recommend? Do you know anyone? He sent it to 5. And before the end of the hour, he jumped in and interrupted our Clubhouse to say that he had won a new contract. It's as simple as that. The problem is that you get overwhelmed with it all. The problem is you think, oh, I've got to do all X, Y, and Z. And so when you become overwhelmed as your human psyche, it's just like, I can't be asked. We'll do it another day. Put it off. I'll go and watch that Netflix instead. But if you can just take a little bit of time to be proactive, put that question out there, whether you're looking for new properties to buy, new co-hosting, business partner, new staff, new cleaners, marketing, bookings, revenue, you name it. Do you know anyone will transform your business, will transform your career?
100%. So when it comes to this whole landscape of what's happening right now in short-term rentals with saturation, with people not getting any bookings when they're on Airbnb, VRBO, what do you recommend for people that are in that situation to not only just get direct bookings, but what can they do to really market their product in the best way possible to get more bookings?
So number one, if you haven't bought this, go and get it. If you're struggling for bookings, if you're looking at your calendar and thinking, wow, it's a little bit bare, go and grab that, read it, implement it, you will get bookings. The most important chapter on there is one of the first ones that I put on. It's about knowing your customer avatar. And one of the reasons why it's so important, one of the reasons why people are empty and a bit bare in the calendar, you got a lot of green instead of red, is because you haven't nailed down your customer avatar. And if you've nailed it down, you haven't communicated it properly. So there's 3 stages to the customer avatar. And when I say customer avatar, and I said that a lot of times, it's just fancy marketing spiel for ideal guest. So there's 3 stages. Number 1, you have to identify. Number 2, you have to locate. Number 3, you have to attract. So number 1 with the identify is you got to identify who the type of guests that are traveling to your area. Now, there's going to be people watching this and listening to this where they've got multiple properties in multiple locations around the States, Canada, etc. All I want for you to do, if you've never done this tactic before, is focus on one of your properties, one of your areas. Let's just say Joshua Tree, right? So number 1, you got to identify the type of people that are coming to Joshua Tree, right? Think about it, visualize them, picture their age, picture the scenario, the family setup. Is it families? Is it solos? Is it a group of friends? Is it business? Is it leisure? Is it visualize them? What's their age? What do they drive? What do they eat? What do they social media channels do they go on? You've got to go down this sort of rabbit hole. And yes, you're going to generalize, but the most important thing that I'm going to say here is that when you focus on everyone, you focus on no one. You got to get your niche and you got to double down on it. Okay.
You know what's funny? So I do the same thing. My most successful property in Joshua Tree is the property that's remote, that is on 5 acres, that's pretty much in the desert, middle of nowhere. So I know people are in LA trying to escape, and it has a shroom room. And I know that people go to Joshua Tree to do drugs. It's just part of the appeal. So having that, I know my market. And although it does get some people that are not a fan of that room, the people that are diehard make up for it.
Exactly. This is this turning them to super fans. I would be front and center. So what I would be doing instantly for the shroom room, let's talk about this, the property with the shroom room. Instantly, the first thing I would be doing, if that's the key, so what you got to do is you've identified, so who is coming to the area, who's coming to the area. Then you've got to locate, and we'll brush over locate for a second. We'll come to attract, and then we'll come back to locate. So with locate, we're coming from Los Angeles. So attract. So what you've got to do then, and this doesn't just mean your direct booking site, this is everywhere. So your unique selling point, yours is the shroom room. For us, it was our family. It was the views. It was the animals. It was the animals, the live animals on the farm that you could interact with, right? So we had to attract. So I like to call it the USP, the unique selling picture. Other people like to call it your hero image. Mr. Sean Rocketich, I know he talks about your hero image, your unique selling picture. We're all talking about the same thing. We're just using other fancy words for it. It's that first image on the listing sites, that one that sits on the scroll, the one that sits loud and proud. Now you can have this on your social medias as your pinned image, pinned post. You can have it on your website as the first main image. You have it on your listing sites, not just Airbnb, but Verbo. You've got to spread yourself everywhere. Now for yours, it may be the shroom room. It could be like make a really good image. So proper professional pictures that cost about $200, $500 of that. And you focus on that. And then the title. Now the title is all important and all powerful. You got to make sure that instantly it speaks out to your ideal guest. So you drag them in with the title, you drag them in with the click. All right. And it's like with any form of copy, any copyright, we'll talk about the hook. So when they're on the scroll, and again, this is really important, you'll get certain markets where everybody's got a pool, everybody's got a hot tub. So everybody focuses on the hot tub as the image. And it just takes a little bit of research. Go use Rank Breeze, go do all that, but go use yourself. Go onto Airbnb, do a search for a year in the future or 6 months in the future when it's like all the calendars are going to be bookable, and just look at all of the properties in your niche, right? So if you've got a tiny house, don't go and look at what a hotel is doing because it's a different niche, different market. Go look at all the other people in your similar categories and look at what all the images are doing. And if every professional host has got the same image of the pool or the hot tub or whatever, do something different. Stand out on the scroll, because then you'll get the click. And then once they're in, then they're sticky, they're in your listing. So then the next 5 images, you've got to again focus and speak to your ideal guests. Speak to the people you want to fit in here. Now, again, we are generalizing, we are narrowing down our niche, but it's important because when you dive so far down in a niche, there's no room for anybody else, then you become the go-to. And what happens with this is you want to speak to your ideal guest, because it doesn't matter whether on your Airbnb, your Verbo, your social media, or your direct booking website, when you speak to them, it's like they're thinking, wow, this property is speaking. So you get the booking. Fantastic. First things you got to do when you get that booking, doesn't matter whether it's an OTA booking or it's a direct booking, pick this up and give them a call. And if you're thinking, oh, got to do more phone calls. If you're so busy, fantastic. Congratulations. Who, not how. Hire a member of your team. Hire a member of a team to do this call for you. 24 hours after the booking, any point, 24 hours after the booking, give them a call. Hey, Patryk, thank you so much for making this booking. Really excited to have you. Thanks so much for choosing our business. Just out of interest, why did you book us? Survey, instant survey. They will tell you why they booked. Oh, man, I'm just looking to escape LA. I'm looking to Yosh Room. Look fantastic. Me and the friends, we're going to come away. We're going to do a trip. We're going to just relax. I hope that's all right. Yeah, absolutely. No problem. We love that. Hey, so is there any reason why you're visiting? What's the special occasion? Oh, it's my birthday. A couple of friends are coming to get together. Don't worry, we're not going to leave it a mess. Don't worry. Hey, don't worry. This is all new. This is good. So instantly you find out it's his birthday. They've chosen you for X and they're coming for Y. Brilliant. What are you going to do? The cleaner, set a little message, either use turnover B, communication with whatever PMS you're using. Say, hey, Patryk's birthday coming up. Can you just do us a favor? Budget $50. Go get him X, Y, or Z. Go get in some pre-rolled blunts or whatever it needs to be, right? Just literally go get it in, put it in, say it's a present from us at whatever, right? Instantly, when that guest arrives, first things first, the guest experience goes up 5,000%. That potential 3, 4, 5-star review, 100, not only is it a 5-star review, social media proof right there and then. The major time, the most time when people use their social medias is when they're on vacation. Why? They want to show off to their friends, the family members back home who aren't on holiday, maybe not family. Let's just say friends, especially from the shroom room, saying, hey, we're on holiday. Look at this amazing place. It's literally a couple of hours away from LA. I lived in LA. I lived in Long Beach. Everybody knows everybody down there. They're all on the same wavelength and the same path. So it's, oh my God, look where I am. A couple of hours away. This place is epic. Pictures, social media, social media, social media. So instantly, they are promoting and marketing your business for you. 24 hours after check-in, phone call. Hey, hope you're well. Did you get your little welcome gift? Fantastic. Anything we can do to help? Boom, boom, boom. Maybe yes, no, maybe whatever it may be. Done the check-in, instant 5-star. And on checkout, or you simply, again, just a little message, little phone call. Hey, hope you had a great time. By the way, thank you for leaving the place in such a tidy shape. The cleaner just said it was amazing. Really appreciate it. Hey, do you know anyone who wants to come to the area? Do you know anyone who wants like this room experience? Do you know anyone? Then they will recommend you to someone else. You just tipped it at every single point during the journey. And it's just a way to get booking. So if you're looking at it and if you're struggling in any niche, go pick up this book. It lays out the format, the template of what you need to do in 101 different ways. And it's so simple. And if you do that right, you will never have availability again. You'll be 90 to 100% booked. So that means you'll be able to take on more properties. So you'll just be able to grow your empire.
Yeah. For the people that are listening on audio, the book that he picked up was a direct playbook that he created, and he's picked it up 3 times and told you guys to read it 3 times. I feel like that's an important book to read. So just read that book if you need anything about marketing. I don't know how many more times he's going to pick it up, but it shows that it's very important. So 100% read that book. I personally read it and it's a great book. It lays out everything that you need. And with going to back to what you were saying with the whole catering to that customer avatar, the big thing there as well is eventually you can start automating that a little bit more by doing it within the messaging. And you gave me a really good idea that I didn't even think of with the message on, oh, do you know anybody? If you have a direct booking website or something like that, and you ask the question in your messaging, do you know anybody that would be interested in staying in the future or something like that? So smart. I didn't even think about that. So thank you for that snippet. I'm going to take it.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And so for the people that are wondering why go even the direct booking site, Airbnb is generating me a lot of money. VRBO is generating me a lot of money. I don't really need the bookings. Why go towards the direct booking?
Yeah. And this is another great one. Like when I first started Boostly in 2016, it was me trying to spread this message. People are like, yeah, I understand the power and I understand why I need to do it, but I'm doing all right. 2017. Yep. I understand. I'm doing all right. I'll come back to this another day. I'll put it off to another day. 2018, 2019, and then 2020 happened. Now we all know what happened in 2020. Anybody that had a portfolio in 2020 of short-term rental units, you will know what happened. Obviously the world turned upside down. And in March 2020, when everyone was panicking, Airbnb made the biggest blunder that they will ever make, and they're still trying to win back hosts now. Now, what we're talking about 23rd of March, 2020, when hosts, guests, everybody woke up to an email, to a notification on their phone saying, Airbnb, you can, guest, cancel your stay at any property, anytime in the future. Doesn't matter the policy. And when this happened, guests saw it and instantly cancelled. I know hosts that woke up to tens of thousands of dollars worth of cancellations and they couldn't do anything about it. And the problem with this is that Airbnb, when you rely on that platform, when you are 90% plus booking from Airbnb from one platform, you are playing in somebody else's sandpit. You are playing by their rules. Now, that example that I gave you is a bit extreme. Hopefully, we'll never have that situation again. But when it comes to Airbnb, there's been more times that this has happened. So, for example, this year, all you have to do is go and look at John Hildebrand's YouTube video, go look at Lowe's YouTube and Instagram, and they will tell you about how a guest has complained to Airbnb and it was nothing to do with them. It wasn't their fault. Airbnb have sided with the guest without any communication with the host, suspended their listing or deactivated their account. And that means that their whole revenue and their whole presence and their whole bookings has gone. Now, when you solely rely on a platform, you are literally giving them the opportunity to do so. And when this is the important of it. Now, hopefully you want to start your business, you want to scale your business, and who knows, you want to potentially sell it. So the final reason why it's important is that any business that is going to look to buy your business, it will look for how many guest information that you have. So emails, phone numbers, etc. Look for how big and how strong your direct marketing is. Because if it's just all coming from one platform, then it will not be as worth as much as somebody else's that is. So the reason why all of this is important is that if you want to have a business that is built on your rules, built on your policies, and potentially one that you can grow and scale and sell in the future, it needs to have a direct booking element to it. Now, I'm not saying you need to go cold turkeys on the OTAs. I'm not saying that you should just cancel your Airbnb list and delete your Vrbo account and just go 100% direct. Now, it's as bad going 100% book direct as it is going 100% OTAs. You need to have a healthy balance. That's why I say ideally 65% direct, 35% third parties. The whole reason to do this is to not bet your house on one horse to win. We're all investors here. If you invested everything into Dogecoin, your friends will turn around to you and go, the fuck are you doing? That's idiotic. And it's the same when it comes to short-term rental and running a short-term rental business. If you're doing 100% of your business through one marketing channel, that's idiotic. That's irresponsible to you.
Don't put all
business,
your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's just that.
So that's why it's so important. Create your direct booking land. It's so important to do. The most simplest way to do so is go and get a property management software, PMS as it's otherwise known. Now, I've done a blog post on the Boostly site. If you go to BOSTLY, boostly.co.uk/PMS, P for Peter, M for Michael, S for sugar. There's a blog post on there where we interviewed 100 hosts and we went through every single property management software there is, the pros and the cons, and we put the best 12 down. So those are the best 12, and you can go and book a demo with them. You can try it, test it. But once you've got a PMS, everything becomes so much easier because the PMS will become the focal point. With the property management software, then you connect to Airbnb. You can have an account on Vrbo and booking.com, so you'll never get a double book. You can then have a Stripe account, so you can take direct payments, and then you can build out your own direct booking website. Now, every single PMS gives you a free direct booking website, which is good when you're just getting started. But very soon you're going to want to level up, and that's where Boostly gets involved.
And do you recommend for your clients doing Facebook ads and different avenues like that? Does that work really well with your services?
I'm all about leveling up. Like everybody that starts short-term rentals, you're at 1 property, 2 property, 3 property, 4 property. You're going to get to a point where you're about 10 plus properties in, and you want to be utilizing every aspect of your marketing. Okay. Now, when you're first getting started, don't even worry about Facebook ads because there's such a minefield with advertising on Google, advertising on Facebook. I've literally documented 2 processes in the Book Direct Playbook. So, you can go and check that out. It's such a minefield to do. You can easily burn money on Facebook ads if you don't do it right. My problem after doing this for many years is I've seen so many people rush it and get it wrong and waste thousands. Where if they spent a little bit of time, did all the free tactics first, build up a fuck it pot where you can basically put your Facebook ads in the fuck it pot. So if you burn it and lose it, it doesn't make a difference. Then going down the other route of having money that you need to work, putting it all in Facebook and then just losing it, then that way is so much better. So it's all about leveling up. So anybody who's under 10 properties, you know, there's going to be a few people that will disagree. Maybe that's cool. That's all about debate and discussion. Don't even worry about Facebook ads. Don't even worry about Google ads. And then once you get to 10 plus properties, then you can start to look into.
Yeah. And I'm going to have an expert on Facebook ads actually today. I'm interviewing them. So that's funny you said that. But either way, everyone's got their own strategy. But in Mark's point, you could do a lot of this stuff for free if you don't have the money. So that's the point of this whole thing. And for the people that are worried about direct bookings because you don't get the liability protection and you don't get all of the other support elements that Airbnb offers, what's the remedy for that?
Yeah, this is the cool thing, is that air cover is just fancy marketing spiel. Airbnb are so good at marketing and are so good at branding. One of their ex co-founders who now has left, Joe Gebbia, he did a TED talk, I think I want to say 2017, 2018. And the TED talk was all about building trust, how Airbnb has built trust with its host. And this is a major part in how air cover works so well. Airbnb's message is, listen, list on Airbnb, forget about the rest. We've got you covered. And air cover is a massive part of that. Now, there's other providers, third-party providers out there, Superhog, superhog.com. You can run guest verification services through their platform. And as soon as a guest is verified who they say they are, you are covered up to $5 million. Air cover is $2 million. And this is another thing as well. This is something that nobody's talking about, but it's very, very important, is that when you are so reliant on air cover, again, it's Airbnb's policy. Air cover is only going to benefit one person and one person only, and that's Airbnb. It's just like Airbnb's pricing software tool. Never, ever use that because it benefits one person only, Airbnb. There's stories coming out now with air cover, and air cover is about a year old, right? At the time of this being recorded. There's stories coming out now of Airbnb suspending hosts for using air cover a lot of times. So if you have to claim, let's just say for shits and giggles, a handful of times, Airbnb are actually turning around and saying, hey, you're using this service too much. We're going to suspend your account while we investigate. That's not good. That's not good at all. All right. So you need to make sure that there is a third party overlooking this when it comes to your cover, when it comes to your guest verification, when it comes to your insurance. And again, these providers and these services are very cost effective. They are built to set and forget. So they work with your PMS, but also as well, if you do it right, it can be a revenue generator for your business as well. Superhog, a very good guest to reach out to for the future of the podcast. If you haven't already, Leo at Superhog.
Yeah, I'm already talking to him. So definitely going to have to reach out to him as well. That's going to be an interesting conversation from his perspective. And let's just not even go into that. I'll ask him another.
Save it for Leo.
Save it for the fire for him. So let's talk more about direct bookings and how it's changing the landscape of hosts. How much does it really impact a host business to actually go down direct booking way? What kind of stories can you share of people really transforming their business?
Man, after doing this for so many years and having thousands of people come through Boostly and whatnot, there are a lot of stories, but I think the best ones that I see is when a host first comes into our world at Boostly, and let's say that 80% plus relying on Airbnb. The messages that jump up in the Boostly Academy, Team Boostly Forum, in the Facebook group are awesome. We had one host recently called Elaine. Every quarter, Airbnb gets hosts to share their super host badges. It's a great branding play, again, from Airbnb. They get all of their hosts to do their marketing for them. But anyway, that's for another day. Elaine posted up, Airbnb just informed me that I lost my Superhost badge. And she was elated. She was so happy. And the reason why is that 90% of her bookings had come direct. And so there was no bookings to go for Airbnb. So she was absolutely ecstatic. And she said the money that she saved on the commission costs paid for a kitchen to get redone and she did something else. All the guests booked on her rules. Those sort of stories make my day. And there's other
Can
instances.
you also chime in and tell people how much you actually save in commission by going the direct booking route?
Yeah, so there's two levels with Airbnb. There's individual host and there's professional host. So when you first get started, you're an individual host. As soon as you connect up your Airbnb account to a property management software, then you're a professional host. So individual host is 3% commission, and then your guest pays a service charge. When you're a professional host, your commission starts at 14%, but the guest doesn't pay a service charge. Okay. So the commission that Elaine would have been on, she was on the professional host. So she was saving 14 to 15% of commission every single booking. Now, on an individual basis, if you're renting it out for, say, $100 a night, it's $15, $30. That's not going to mean much. But if you're talking over a quarter, if you're talking over a season, which a season could be anywhere between 6 to 9 months, then you're talking 4 or 5 figures, which is amazing for your P&L. So for your CPA and for your tax and the end of years and all that stuff, if you can show less commission, it's only going to be a good thing for anybody who's looking at your business to potentially buy it.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a huge impact. Imagine you're making $100,000 a year.
Yeah,
15%.
Exactly. Yep.
It's a pretty good chunk of money.
Means you can pay for staff, forward staff, which is the who, not how. So many people as they're leveling up, they're worried about, do I have enough money to it, X, Y, and Z. So yeah, there's so many things you can do with it. You can put it into more property, get in more property, which is where you see people with the 20, 30, 40 units, whatever. There's so many things you can do with it.
So that 15% you save, how much do you actually have to spend with the direct booking? Because you need to ensure that booking, right? So how much more or less are you saving actually when you take the two options?
Let's say for shits and giggles, 5% of that 15. So say instead of paying 15% to booking.com, Verbo, Airbnb, let's just say 5% will go for Stripe fees and insurance, and then you're pocketing 10%. Let's just say it's going to be different for everybody listening. Every single person listening, it'll be a different figure just because how your business and your makeup is. Let's just say an extra 10%. But the main thing is it's not always the money. It's not always the money. In this business of real estate and whatever, we always focus on the money. The main thing for me is it's the power. It's your booking. It's your policy. You haven't got a third party interfering. If there's an issue with a guest, you contact the guest directly. The guest contacts you directly. So you can deal with it directly. You don't have to deal for a third party. And it's so, I see it so much at the moment. I saw it in a Facebook group the other day where a guest had complained to Airbnb. Airbnb contacted the host at 11 p.m. The host was asleep. By the time the guest woken up, Airbnb said, "Oh, sorry, you haven't responded in time." They refunded the booking in whole, and the host was then responsible for Airbnb to get the guest somewhere else. They had to pay that money.
That's a lot of money. Now let's talk about finance. That is a lot of money. That's not chump change. That's for not focusing on money, but the autonomy of having direct bookings, you're not chained to the reviews. I think that's the biggest thing is guests get so scared about getting a bad review. Oh my God, this is going to ruin my whole reputation, the algorithm, all this stuff, where if you just do a good job, you're going to get a return customer the next year. And that's the best way to do it.
Everybody's so worried about that bad review and losing their Superhost badge that they literally bend over backwards for bad guests. That's the worst. Bending over backwards for bad guests, because there are people out there, unfortunately, who will try and manipulate the system. We've all seen it. Anybody who's been in this industry for any amount of time will know instantly what I'm talking about. When you have a direct booking, you are not worried about it. There is no big brother looking over you, but you're worried about. So if there is a bad guest and they're trying to take the piss, not a piss, but trying to take the piss and trying to take advantage of you, then you can tell them where to go professionally, of course.
Awesome. Mark, let's go into the last 3 questions because we're going to wrap up here real quick. And I always ask my guests 3 questions because I just really want to dive in and see what everyone has. And I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm just going to throw it out. What's the book that you would recommend everybody to read?
A little plug for mine is a book, Playbook. Please do go and get it. In terms of everybody else, it literally depends where you are in your journey. If you are in like where you've started and you've got hiring issues, then definitely Who Not How, Clockwork. If you're just getting started and if you're struggling to get bookings, then $100 Million Offer by Alex Hormozy, Get Different by Mike Michalowicz is fantastic. And if you're just looking for the why, like why are you doing it, go get Simon Sinek's Start With Why. and everything else falls into place from there. But there's so many other good books as well. Talk Triggers by Jay Bear for hospitality. Giftology is a really good book about lumping mail and sending gifts. And there's so much more. But yeah, it literally depends on where you are in your journey.
I guess you got to make a whole episode on just Mark's favorite books and just go over all of them. I feel
That's
like you got a lot.
That's a future podcast coming up. I can feel it.
There you go. And so what are you working on right now? What is Mark doing? What's Mark up to in the future?
So I've got a new book coming out. It's going to be released in December 2022, and it's called The Book Direct Blueprint. A copy of it here just came back from the printers.
It's not
So
even released yet. Wow.
Not even released. I've got a first copy. So with this one, what I wanted to do was, the playbook is all about marketing. This book is all about the systems and the structures to put in place. So we talk about property management software, PMS, we've got insurance, we've got all about guest experience, pricing dynamics, we've got upsells, everything that you need to put into place to make your business grow. And I've not just done this book by myself. I reached out to friends and peers in the industry. So we've got iPrac, we've got Mount, Price Labs, Touchday, Uplisting, DAC, Tech Tape, Superhob, Minoan, D-Travel, and the co-host expert. Everything that you could possibly need. So they're all co-authoring this with me. It's released in December. And if you want to find out more, get on the pre-release list. It's the book. So bookdirectblueprint.com or boostly.co.uk/blueprint. Everybody that pre-registers gets access to a very special online course that's readily available now. So yeah, do go check it out. It's going to be released in December. All the profits from the book sales is going to go to charity as well. We've all agreed, all the co-authors, that every single money that comes back as profit from the book sales is going to go to food bank charities. So that's pretty awesome.
And so for people that want to get in contact with you, how do people get in contact with you? How do people talk to Mark?
Instagram is the best one, at Boostly UK. So at BOSTLY UK. Instagram's the best. Just send me a message and I will promise you I will get back to you.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Mark. Thanks for hopping on the show. You just give back so much. This is your third time publishing a book, right? I know I have Hospitable Host right here, and you're in this one.
That's number two. So number one was the playbook. Number two, Hospitable Host. Number three is the blueprint, and I'm working on number four as we speak, which is good. I've definitely caught the bug.
Okay, there's a little sneak peek. So thanks, Mark. Once again, you're awesome. Appreciate for hopping up on the podcast.
Thank you.